If you're feeling lost in life right now, I want you to know it's not a mistake. Feeling lost in life usually means that you're outgrowing the version of you that used to feel safe. The version of you that was comfortable, that didn't want to become more, that resisted change, right? But your spirit, your higher self, it's kind of forcing you and pushing you to grow through this feeling of feeling lost in life, of being unsure, being uncertain of where to go. The truth is, you're doing nothing wrong. You're going through a process. You're in your journey. You're in your process. But when we feel lost in life, again, we often think that we're doing something wrong. And what's really going on is just you're no longer aligned with your current life path. Something new is coming. Will you make way for it? Will you embrace the change or resist it? Because to be frank, we don't resist change, we resist being changed, right? So even when it's for our higher good and our higher self is trying to get us to grow, there's still the old self, the lower self, that wants to stay exactly where we're at, the same habits, the same patterns, just be nice and comfortable in our own hell sometimes, right? But the identity, roles, or routines that used to make sense now, they feel empty. And that's an evolution. You're growing, my friend. Can you go with it? Can you follow this new trajectory of your life? Because every time you feel lost, you're actually going through an evolution. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a situation or in a phase of my life where I had no clue what to do. Especially when I'm 32 now, or about to be 32. When I was 22, I was at a point in my life where I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was partying, I was drinking, I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, so to speak. And I had no idea where I was going with my life, no purpose. And sometimes when you feel lost, there's a negative stacking of things that happen to you. And they're there to kind of, with some tough love, push you in the direction that you need to go. In my case, I got a DUI. I got cheated on, and that's what led me to be an alcoholic. I lost all my friends. I had two slip discs from working at UPS, just from really putting in a lot of hours. And I had to pay $1,500 just to get my car back after the DUI, and $10,000 that I had to borrow from my parents just to pay off the DUI with the lawyer and all the fees, all that fun stuff. I had a breathalyzer installed in my car just so I can freaking drive. That tough love really pushed me into a low place in my life where I felt lost, I felt confused, frustrated. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on, but a lot of my unconscious beliefs were coming to the surface and seemingly feeling true. I felt like a failure, like a loser. Like I could never be proud of who I was. But in that phase, in that part of my life where I felt lost and I went through all that, that's what led me to the evolution of my spirit. I started to increase my awareness. I started to find more of myself, to become more, because I actually went to sleep drunk one night, and after a party, and I asked myself while I was laying in bed, just after a night of going out, is this going to be the rest of my life? And I said no. I don't even know why I said no. It wasn't in me, or at least I thought it wasn't in me at that time, to even want to change, because I was so used to being a nobody, living without purpose. I was living at my parents at the time, and I'm not saying that's bad, but I was at my age, I think I was like, at that age, 22, I wish I had my own place, right? But all that pain, all that suffering, all that confusion, it led me to my own spiritual growth. it led me to find more of myself. And I came across this video on YouTube titled Why I Have No Friends. And that was by my first, little did I know, that was by my first mentor and my first introduction to personal development. So everything that I was going through, it was leading me somewhere, and I didn't even know. I didn't even know my life was really just getting started. Maybe it's the same for you. You think your life is over, but it's really just beginning. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom and lose yourself to know who you are, to find yourself again. Sometimes you got to walk through that fire. And when for some people it's worse, right? These phases of feeling lost in life, but you're going to come out of it. You're going to be better. A better man, a better woman. You're going to become more evolved. You're going to grow. You're going to expand. It's all happening for you, even if you can't see it right now. Right? Like, your soul will create a void when it wants to rewrite your path every single time. I remember there was also another moment where I used to have my own personal training studio. I had a business partner. I used to live in Chicago. We had it was in a city about an hour away, so I would drive an hour to the studio every day to train my clients, and that was my dream. I was living my dream. I was a personal trainer. I was on my way to owning a personal training studio, putting in the work, 12 hours, 15 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. And then after a year and a half, it came crashing down. Me and my business partner got into it. It didn't end well. And I thought my life was over. That was the second biggest phase where I felt so lost. I felt I had no purpose. I didn't care about living, guys. Maybe you relate. I remember it was and I was this close to moving out. I was so close. I finally had the finances. I'm like, I'm right there. I was looking at beautiful luxury apartments, and I couldn't finish it. I couldn't finish the freaking move. And I remember being so mad at myself because I remember telling myself, "Oh, you're right there. You're that close to moving out and finally having your own place." And I felt like such a disappointment. I felt I was so tired of letting myself down. I was so angry at myself because I felt like I messed it up, like I did something wrong. But little did I know, the universe had to bring that to a halt. It had to bring that to an end. And I had to trust the universe. I had to trust that there was a new path being rewritten for me. But I didn't know that until afterwards, right? I didn't trust until afterwards, because you always connect the dots in retrospect. But for 2 weeks after we closed down the studio, after I left, I was devastated. I was destroyed. I was so angry because I thought I made it. I thought I knew where I was going with my purpose, my life's mission. I was going to have many studios. I was going to expand internationally. I had this huge dream, and sometimes when that dream doesn't go as planned, you think it's the end. But again, it's really the beginning. After those 2 weeks of loathing and being and feeling like a loser again, feeling like a failure again, here we go, re-emerging feelings of how I unconsciously felt about myself. And just having pity on myself. I became a victim. That was the mindset that I had. I had a victim's mindset, even with the awareness that I was at that time. And I gave up. I hit rock bottom. I didn't want to keep trying. That's why I wanted to work a regular job. I remember telling myself, I'll work a 9 to 5 the rest of my life, and that'll be it. There's no reason to continue. For what? I failed, right? I even bought my dream car, and I had to find a way to make payments on that. But I remember having these very negative conversations with myself, just beating myself up and saying, of course you would mess this up, Roy. Of course you fuck it up. And that was another unconscious belief, that I felt like a fuck up because I was going nowhere with my life. And then I finally did, right? I finally started gaining some momentum, some traction with the studio, and it came down, just crashing down, right? But and now again, I was being a victim. I thought I lost something that was always, I was always supposed to have, that was always meant for me. I didn't lose anything. But again, that's how I felt at the time. And it wasn't until after those 2 weeks I allowed the process to take place. I felt what I needed to feel. I expressed it. That I had the sudden intuitive nudge, the sudden urge to start putting myself out there again. Because before the studio, I was making videos here and there, but it was nothing serious. But afterwards, I'm like, you know what? I can really dedicate myself now to sharing this wisdom, helping people heal, empowering people, right? I could really, really serve the way I've been wanting to serve now. And that's what I started doing. And here we are, almost a decade later. But my life had to be quote unquote destroyed so I could be reborn. Right? And oftentimes feeling lost is also a sign that you're awakening your own voice. You're finding yourself, buddy. You got to see it. Everything you're going through right now, where is it guiding you? It's leading you somewhere. Can you find the gift? Can you find the destination? What are you being asked to do? There's a next step in all the chaos. Behind every, as Napoleon Hill says, behind every seed of adversity, there's an equal to or greater opportunity. Can you find that opportunity? Do you need change? Do you need change in your life? Do you need to transform your life? Do you need to do shadow work? Do you need to heal? What do you need to do? Do you need self-empowerment? Purpose. There's something here. Can you find it? Can you dig through the shit, through the mud, to find what your spirit is asking you to look at? Sometimes it could be healing trauma. Sometimes it could be a new purpose. You got to trust yourself. Right? You're not lost. You're not stuck. You're not doing anything wrong. This is your process. It hurts. There's suffering involved. There's pain involved. I wish I could tell you there wasn't. But underneath that pain, there's so much pride. There's so much empowerment. There's so much confidence. There's so much self-leadership because you're learning to lead yourself. I remember I had an 8-hour QHHT session, quantum healing hypnosis therapy, therapy session. And I asked my higher self, why did it, and I had a lot of falling out with past mentors. There's a lot of projections on my part as well from wounds and stuff like that. But I asked my spirit, at the time I was unsure, why did it have to happen the way it did with all my mentors? And my spirit told me, Roy, you had to learn how to lead yourself. And it was just like an aha moment, a light went off, right? I had to lead myself. Can you learn right now while you're lost, while you don't understand a lot? Can you learn to lead yourself? Can you learn to trust yourself and where your life is going? It's one day at a time. I got to figure it all out now. The more pressure you put on yourself to figure it out, the less likely you're actually going to make room and space for the answers to come, right? All my best ideas, all the answers I needed, they came when I was cool, when I was calm, when I was in a state of detachment, when I wasn't even thinking about the problem or the challenge. I was just doing my thing. I was living life. And don't forget to do that either. Don't forget to live life. But that's what I would recommend. What's the gift? What needs to be rewritten? Why are you really going through this? Why are you softly or maybe even a little toughly, yeah, that's the word, being pushed? It's on you, right? Take the pressure off, and I promise you, right? You don't have to sit there with a pen and be angry and upset. And, all right, here we go. No. Enjoy life. Let it come through right now, right? Just a soft question, a gentle question. Hey, where are you trying to take me, Spirit? See what comes through, right? Also, you're likely letting go of external validation and facing the rawness of your own truth. If you want to evolve, if you want to create your own path, you have to discover your own truth. And if you don't heal what's getting in the way of that, if you're not on a healing journey, you're never going to discover your own truth. I have a course called Courage Unleashed that I literally guide you through a 5-step process to find your truth. And you release and you heal whatever's getting in the way of that. Go ahead and check out the description if you haven't. This is one of my most powerful processes. If you're willing to face yourself, if you have the courage to lead yourself and through this process, you will not be the same person that entered that entered that course. But not everybody's ready, and that's okay too if you're not ready for that. But and that's why it's called Courage Unleashed. You have the courage to confront yourself, to find your truth, and you have to understand that sometimes you believe in what's a false truth. You think, I thought I was that failure. You think you're that person that can't achieve, right? You think you're that disappointment, that letdown, and that's the false truth. That's the limiting belief. That's not who you actually are, but that's why you have trouble accepting yourself, because you think you're that truth, but it's a false truth. And that's the thing, through doing this inner work, through doing shadow work, you find your truth. Who you actually are. And who you actually are is the higher self, is that awareness within that's present, that believes in you, that knows you're great, that knows you can do anything, that destroys the self-doubt, right? That right now, even though you can't see it, it knows where it's taking you, right? You're not lost. You're being repositioned. Repeat that one more time. You're not lost. You're being repositioned. You're going somewhere. You're not going nowhere. I know it feels like that. I understand. But if you need to be over here and you keep following the path of over here, you can't be in this frequency. You can't be at this place. So your spirit is trying to take you over here. You're being guided to where you actually want to go. You're being guided towards who you actually want to become. You got to trust that. You got to trust your path. This is what's happening. I know this is why it's actually good that you feel lost right now, because if you didn't feel lost, you'd have the certainty of this is the way to go. But over here is where you're actually meant to be. But sometimes you have to walk left so you can know how to walk right, or when to walk right as well. Lastly, just wanted to say, you're not behind, you're not broken. Feeling lost is the sacred pause before deep alignment, right? You were never meant to stay the version of you that outgrew its truth. This is the beginning, not the end. You're ready. If you're watching this, you're ready. The next level is here. You embrace it, or will you push it away? It's on you. Will you give yourself permission to be great, to do what you came here to do, to give yourself a freaking chance at living a higher purpose? Maybe it's divine timing. Maybe it's perfect timing. But you're not lost, you're not stuck. This is your time. Go show the world who you are, unleash your greatness. There's something within you that's been waiting to come out for so long. There's a version of you that's been waiting for you to align with it for so long. Isn't it time? What's the next logical step? You know what that is. All right. Till next time, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe, comment, let me know. Let me know, what was your biggest realization from this video? What was your aha moment? What did you realize? I would love to know, and I respond to every comment, by the way. And again, if you haven't checked out that course, Courage Unleashed, go ahead. It's in my description. It's going to help you. It's going to accelerate your healing process. It's going to accelerate who you become. But most importantly, you're going to be living in your truth and your full potential. You're not going to be afraid to be yourself. You're not going to be afraid to go after what you actually want in life. If you really feel this is your time, this is the perfect course for you, and this is the best way I can help you right now. All right? You can go ahead and check out my other products as well in the description. Until next time, believe in yourself.